Okay, so real quick, which is better, a PhD or having common sense? What do you think? I want y'all to definitely put this in the comments. Hi, I'm Shawnee, and welcome to the Nurse Executive Files. This is just for you, whether you're a new nurse, a seasoned nurse, or you're thinking about becoming a nurse. So listen, I was on LinkedIn some years ago when it first came out, and it was strictly about jobs back then. It was like the hottest, best platform to get on, and compared to all the platforms out there, LinkedIn like was number one, and it probably still is number one. I don't know because I don't keep track up with it like that. So I'm fairly new on LinkedIn. Got on there to build my business, to network and engage. And so I'm on there, and what I did notice is that, and it's changed a lot. So back then, again, like I said, all about business, but now it's just like reminds me of a miniature like Facebook or Twitter or something like that. And I'm like, I don't know if it's like the algorithm, I don't know what it is, but it's very, very political, very from what I've noticed. But there's one thing that I've seen here lately whenever the trend is hot, and there's something political going on, or someone is giving tribute to someone and they have a huge impact, maybe let's say, for example, at the federal government level, and they're going up against someone else. And let's say you have someone like me, right? Black woman, decorated, right? Is what people say. I've seen in the comments where people say, yeah, they may have all that. Now, hold on. I'm still growing and learning, and we're always becoming a version of our best selves. You are always learning, and that's what we're here for, to learn, to grow, help someone else out, learn, grow, and we repeat to help someone else out. But so listen, there's a lot of amazing people, trailblazers, pioneers, in history. And this is nursing, Nurse Executive Files. So there's a lot of amazing nurses, younger nurses, seasoned nurses, and we talk about that in my last channel when I talk about nursing experience. I don't like to say old nurses, I say seasoned nurses, such as myself. I'm still wet behind the ears, even though I'm seasoned, because I have nurse mentors, but like you still wet behind the ears. But anyway, I think it is disrespectful when I see a well-decorated person that have made strides in their community, nationally and globally. They have a lot of outcomes, they have results, they are coming together with community and they are doing things. And, some of them go back to school to support the action that they were already doing before they even put science terms on them or the word volunteer or community service. People just help out the goodness of their hearts. And then some people, they go to school, they get their degree first, and then they work in that field. But then they also have a personal passion connected to it. That's what they do. Some of them, that's who they are. But I think it is so rude to have a person to tear down someone that has made strides in history that have significantly impacted other groups or people across the board in general, to say, oh, well, abruptly, they may have a PhD, but I've seen some with a PhD that can't even climb out of a brown bag. I'm like, what? And, again, I don't, I've seen this more during seasons where there's something, let's say, for example, political going on, and let's say you could have, maybe a judge, or you could have, someone in Congress, you could have anybody. And when you're comparing, let's say, candidates, for example, this person may not be well decorated. They may not have doctor in front of their name, whether it's a doctor of psychology, doctor of medicine, doctor of dentistry, doctor of nursing, such as myself. They may not have those credentials behind them. So some people will say, oh, well, even though they only have this right here and they have all this, and all they're looking at is titles, right? That's all they're looking at is titles. They will rip them down, and sometimes because they feel like, and I'm not going to give people a history lesson because that's not what this one is about Black women and African American people and getting jobs and advancements. I'll let y'all do that history, because this is not um, the story for that right now. But as we get into the executive files, it sure can be. But I think it is so rude to tear them down and just say, well, they don't have common sense, or they're not the brightest just because they have their doctorate. And I've seen it with my own eyes in LinkedIn. And most of the time, people use fear, or they tear other people down because they're uncomfortable, maybe with themselves or their candidate. Hey, um, but yeah, some people will say, hey, well, they're not the brightest, or they make out in the degrees, but where's the common sense at? So that's what I'm asking you. Do you feel like that is best to have, a doctorate degree or a master's or advanced level education, or is common sense best? You want to know what I think? What I think is, I think that there is, and I'm not taking away from the hard-earned work, um, in history and everything that goes behind in getting a proper education. We know that knowledge is power. So I'm not taking that away from anyone, blood, sweat, and tears, because I have my own story too in nursing. And we'll talk about that in another executive file that I want to share with you all. But I don't think anything trumps life history, life experiences. I was talking to my mom about that, and she, decided to go to college, but she quit and got married and started a family. My grandfather, I come from a military background. And so, my immediate family, I'm the first doctor of nursing practice, DNP, in my family. But what I love though is they are like, they can, even a nurse that does not have a doctorate, I think they can run circles around me any time of the day. One of my most favorite mentors is a LPN, IV infusion nurse. And baby, she can run circles around me any time of the day because of the experiences that she brings to the table. So even if I'm comparing my 1 year to her 1 year, for example, it's the experiences that she brings. And she's a seasoned nurse. And so, yeah, nobody can take that away from her. So a title definitely does not make the person. I definitely believe life experiences trump that. But listen to me, hear me clearly. I think, not that I think, my opinion, pair those life experiences with the knowledge. That's what I'm talking about. That's what I'm talking about. And when you get to researching a person's history, or a well-decorated person, this candidate versus that candidate, for example, whether it might be a judge, for example, just saying, or a woman in Congress, take the time to do their research. Excuse me. Take the time to do the research. Take the time to see how they've really invested their lives in community, or what they've gone through. Know their story before you say, well, I haven't, when you see somebody well decorated compared to maybe your favorite, and your first goal is to not be like, wow, they are notable, or they're great, or I'm glad they got all these accolades behind them. But like, take the time to do the research. Don't let your first comment on LinkedIn be, well, that's not the first PhD person I've seen, or something out of that can't climb out of a brown bag. Uh, don't let that be your first comment on LinkedIn. And that actually sometimes tells me a little intel on a little bit about that person, just by them saying that. If that's your first response, is a fear tactic, or to tear somebody else down without, learning out how they've impacted, the community globally, nationally, or one-on-one, not even being seen. A lot of people have done, or they do amazing things, but it's not televised, because everything don't need to be on social media, or it need to be televised. So anyway, I just had to get it off my chest. It was late that night, and I was scrolling on LinkedIn, and a beautiful Black woman, very well-known, decorated, has worked very, very hard in her career, make strides, at the highest level to impact everyone, regardless of who they are. And history goes very, very deep. And to have the, acknowledgement, the awards, and the education to back her up, I mean, just hands down to her that she's paving the way and continue to pave the way and make room for women like me and everybody. Yeah, so it just rubbed me the wrong way to see them say, oh yeah, PhD, and they can't even climb them out with a brown bag. That's probably true, but when you give respect where due, and I know you have people out there that just be hating and everything, but it's like some of these people are taking LinkedIn as a serious professional engagement platform. And if that's the first thing that they put down, anyway, that's just my rant. That's just my opinion. And please leave in the comments PhD versus common sense. What do you think?